Hello and welcome to part 3 of Animating John Wick. Okay, so now I'm gonna be on frame 45, which is 3.8. I wish I can type it in, but I can't type it in. I have to scroll through it like this. This is an updated dope sheet with lines running through the dope sheet. You can see the moments when they are actually making contact and then when the action is being overlapped. So these are all of the timing for both the characters, so for both John and this guy here. And the underlying red is when they make actual contact. This guy here should have a contact here as well on 3.8.25. I just haven't wrote that down. And the reason why that is a contact is because I'm looking at John's hand here. It's touching his hand. That's when there's a little bit of an arc happening with John's hand, so it's kind of moving down and touching his hand here. So it was up here before, it's moving down, it's touching his hand here. Any change in motion is counted as a keyframe. Here's his hand, and it's going down to grab his hand, and then there's like a key pose here because he's about to push his hand away, and that is an anticipation pose from John, but he's kind of reacting to it, but for him it's a contact pose reacting to John. So that's an important keyframe, and without it there would be a lot of clipping and weird stuff in the scene. When I'm animating, I don't want to be distracted by the lights, so I turn on studio lights, and that gives me this. And I'm just gonna duplicate the frame over, and now I'm gonna be working on this key pose here. So I'm looking at his pose. His arm is down like this, the arc is like this, he is looking this way, and it looks like it's very hard to see that, but I'll work on that later. John's arm is holding on to here, his shoulder is around here, his gun is here. I'm just seeing the difference. If the poses change too much, it doesn't really change. They're kind of holding their pose, a little bit of shoulder movement. I'm gonna go with a little bit earlier than 3.25 because his hand does go into his chest. I'm gonna go, yeah, because that's also a key pose there. Yeah, I'll make it so that it's 3.8.28. 3.8.23. So I'm going a little bit away from the dope sheet and moving it back a few frames. So that would be frame 38. Just to give it the punch it needs. Yeah, so now they're actually touching. And I realize he needs to be closer like this. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this frame and then redo it like this so that I'm working off the previous pose. So it's not much of a difference here, just minor movement, minor impact, and he's looking this way. The foot might slide a little, and it looks like his shoulder goes back this way just a little bit, and his hand moves out this way because John is pushing his arm. And now John's arm is going down. And this can get messy because once you convert it to FK, you might have to clean it up a little bit here and there, but yeah. So his hip is moving a little bit in this way. Probably not too much though. And Keanu Reeves, he has like an injury on his neck, so he can't really turn his neck too much, I read. I'm just gonna flip back and forth and see how that looks. He doesn't move up, does he? Yeah. So this pose here on the other guy is a little bit incorrect because he does move up a little bit. So this is the cool thing with dreams. Usually in other programs, I don't know like if you can work with two characters at the same time like this. I think you can, but I don't know. It feels so easy to do this in dreams because you can go back and forth with their keys and kind of flip back and forth like this very easily. And it just feels intuitive because, you know, this pointer is actually touching the characters, so it feels like you are working with stop motion. So to hold the pose and check what we've done, I'm just gonna duplicate this all the way to the end and just check. And again, the hands, they are twitchy because there's no FK applied. And I feel like John's neck is kind of doing this weird thing. Like sometimes you over animate without realizing. So right here in the footage, you can see there's very minimal movement with his neck. So from here to here. So it's starting here, and then it goes over here. So it's like a quick turn like this. But for mine, it was like here, and then it kind of jolted over and did this. It was over animated. So it's a little bit more subtle. Yeah, so that's much better because it doesn't feel like his head is going to drop off. So with the muzzle flashes, I've already pre-animated that, and that's the first thing I worked out was the timing of the muzzle flashes. So now I don't have to really worry about the muzzle flashes, I just need to concentrate on the character poses. So these are the muzzle flashes here. I haven't imported the sound from this clip or anything. I've used actual dreams sounds to build this, but you're not gonna hear it because I always animate without sound. Well, now I'm animating without the sound because when I recorded it last time, my voice was just, the sound was just way too loud in dreams. And it was taking over, it was really disruptive with the commentary. And it looks like there's a little bit of clipping, something with the arm. I want it to feel solid. His hand is up here. And I might rotate this so it feels like there's impact. Just making sure there's not too much clipping. looking through this footage again. It's very hard to see his arm in the back because it's against a dark background. But I'm guessing his arm is like this. That's the kind of shape that we need to do, and it looks very similar here. But I'm just gonna pull it back a little bit just so there's more of a squash, because this arm is swinging around and then there's a force kind of pushing this body forward, so there's going to be a little bit of a squash here, and I'm just going to be tempted to kind of push him closer a little bit to get the impact feeling right. So I'm just squashing, and since it's a little bit more, you're meant to exaggerate things a little bit more in animation, so that's something I'm going to exaggerate. Going to see how that looks. So the cool thing with Dreams is that there's physics to the paint, and it just gives you like extra overlapping action there and follow through with like the fabric on the clothings and the hair. So it really sells the movement a little bit more, even if the movement is janky. The physics is actually making it work. Without the secondary motion with the physical paint there, it probably wouldn't look as good, I think. There's a little bit of an elbow pop when he pulls back, but that can be solved with FK. It's probably good to show people what you're working on and what kind of progress you're making, because sometimes they have fresher eyes than you do. Once I make something, I try to distance myself away from what I do. Try to not get too personal with what I do and just look at it objectively and try to look at it with fresh eyes and really analyze what the heck is going on with the motion. And that's how you get it. It looks like his arm is clipping through, but the keyframe doesn't say that. It's very strange. I need to look at it from the camera's point of view, so I need to see the camera. So I scope into the camera, look at what the keyframes are doing, and here I think the arms and all that are too low based on the camera. I'm gonna move it up a little bit just so it's composed better, so there's more better composition. I need a whole day to work on this to really get into it, but I only got 30 minutes left because I gotta get to work. I'm trying to find these little pockets of time to do stuff. Yeah, I need more time. And it looks like his arm is flipping out, doing some crazy thing. Just keep it simple, not animate it too much. Otherwise it'll flip out, because it's having trouble figuring, like Dreams has trouble figuring out which way the shoulders should rotate, which axis it should go to, so it's kind of flipping the axis. So that's what you're seeing there. Still clipping through. That's a little bit better. I just have to have some faith that the FK is going to work, but there might be a little bit of cleanup once it's converted to FK. So yeah, that's frame 38. which isn't on the dope sheet, but I've got it there. And now it's frame 45 that I'm up to. So I'll just kind of drop this here on frame 45 so I know what I'm going to be doing next. Sometimes that's just the way it is. You spend ages just working on another key pose and just making sure all of those things like arcs, overshooting, all of that is working. And it sometimes you'll take a day just working on a pose just to try and get that motion right. And yeah, I don't really have that much time because I gotta go to work soon.